Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles keeping the fellas busy, landing another commitment. This is like 3 in the last 24 hours. And four-star athlete Micahi Danzy, and he's listed as an athlete, four-star athlete, top 200 dude nationally. It sounds like he could play a plethora of positions on the football field, primarily played running back at the high school level. You take a look at the stats. 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, averaged 9.5 yards per carry. This dude is averaging about a first down every time he touches the rock. And a really interesting guy to get into. Going to talk about some of the traits he has, dive into the film, and then talk about this Florida State class in 2024 that is quietly really getting going and becoming a very strong class for Mike Norvell. Now, before we get into it, just want to say thank you to the Florida State fans especially. We've talked a lot of Florida State football and what they did in the transfer portal, did a deep dive into the program and talked about why we think they can win a national championship in 2023. This is a team that the boys have been high on for a while. And if it wasn't for a couple, we said this last time we talked Florida State, if it wasn't for a couple of injuries and kind of a bad timing of that schedule last year, this Florida State team and the narrative around that team, even ending last year, which they were a bona fide top 10 team, would have been a lot different. So appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And let's get into Micahi Danzy. And again, not really sure what position he's going to play, but the caliber of athlete you're getting, get him into the program and you'll figure it out. Sounds like he might play running back, which is really interesting because you have Cameron Davis already in this class in 2024. And it kind of reminds me, you get a guy in Micahi Danzy who's coming in, also plays running back. It could be a little like Trey Benson, Lawrence Tuafali, like combination where you got like the bigger, more complete back in Cam Davis, who is absolutely rocked up. And then you have like the speedster, the guy in space, and Micahi Danzy, who could provide a little bit of a different element. And you're seeing running back rooms kind of go towards that, right? Having different running backs with different skill sets, and you use them in different kind of situations during a football game. Now I'm going to stop talking. I want to get into Micahi Danzy and what he brings to the field because, again, trying to figure out where this kid is going to play, pretty damn good running back, and he's a guy that you kind of want on the offensive side of the ball with the football in his hands. Now, before we fire up the highlights, I do want to talk 10 900 meter time. He has a good frame. I could certainly see him playing in the secondary somewhere as well, but it's really hard to ignore how comfortable this kid looks when he has the football in his hands. Again, firing up the film, he's not the biggest guy. I mean, the frame you can put weight on that frame, no doubt. He's 6'1", but he does get downhill, and you see the breakaway speed. Like when he is, and he's weird, not weird, but because it doesn't look like he's flying because he's long and the stride lengths are big time, but nobody ever catches him from behind. And again, he likes to get downhill, which is something I like a lot. And when you look at some of these smaller, faster ball carriers, a lot of times they like to go east-west. He's a guy that, I mean, he sticks his foot in the ground and gets going north and south really quickly and angles. Like he puts a lot of safeties before we keep going. He puts a lot of safeties in conflict. Like you consistently see these safeties take poor angles on Micahi Danzy because of that speed. And he truly does have that home run threat. I mean, he has multiple SEC offers for the track and field side of things. So this dude does have legit burners. And again, a guy that can get it done out of the backfield as well. And he does not dance. He gets downhill and he has absolute burners in terms of straight line speed. He does have pretty good feet too in terms of making people miss. Really interested, and this will be a very fun conversation and a good problem for Mike Norvell to have. Like you get an elite caliber athlete, you say, take a look at the body. Where do we want the body to look like? Let's figure out what position he's going to play. But man, it's hard to say how comfortable he looks making people miss and having that home run capability. It gets really hard to say to take him away from having the football in his hands. And again, I kind of like the idea of him and Cameron Davis like being kind of a dynamic duo in that backfield with a guy like Luke Kromanoke in the sense that they do some different things. Like this dude has elite burners. Again, you see the shake, you see the straight line speed he has, makes people miss routinely in open field. Very exciting football player. I would like to know what the Florida State fans have to say. Like, what position do you guys see? I watched this. I've dug into the film a little bit and trying to figure out where he's going to play. And again, for me, It's hard to say don't carry the football. I would like to hear from you guys, so let me know in the comment section what you guys think. But man, when he gets going downhill, he is a very, very good running back and runs the ball kind of hard for that frame. Now, taking a look at this class for Florida State, you're up to 18 commitments. It's going to look like it's going to be a top 10 class and trending for some other guys, right? We talked about LJ McCray. We talked about Charles Lester potentially coming. Florida State continuing to get it done. And you take a look at the class, and we talked about a guy in Luke Romanoke who talked about in the comment sections with a few of you guys. Luke Romanoke, that might be one of the better talent evals you've seen in this 2024 class. Florida State and Mike Norvell got in very early on a kid that during his sophomore year played wide receiver and safety. And so you kind of had to project that quarterback trait. He plays as a junior. He looks solid. Mike Norvell and Florida State coming with an offer, land him relatively early in March of 2022. And he's a guy that is seemingly pushing for a 5-star status at that quarterback spot. Then you take a look at who you're surrounding him with. The number one tight end in the country in Landon Thomas, one of my favorite running backs in the country, Cameron Davis, who's another guy that plays quarterback, I believe, in high school. But you can't deny just how physical this dude is going to be as a running back. You're starting to build an offensive line around him. You have Elijah Moore, who I am just extremely excited about, man. 6'4", 200 pounds, was a top priority for Ohio State. And you know, when Ohio State prioritizes wide receivers, they like them a lot. And it's very, when Ryan Hartline and Ohio State have their pick of what wide receiver they want to go with, that wide receiver is normally pretty damn good. Florida State ends up beating out Ohio State for that. Florida State fans, you have to feel so good about what this class looks like right now. And what's even more special in my mind is this Florida State team. This is the best Florida State team I can remember in a very long time. Like, this is a bona fide team that's going to compete for a national title. I'll link the video. You guys can hear me hype up Florida State. I'll put it down in the comment section. This is a team that is going to make some serious noise in 2023. They had all these guys come back. Guys like Jordan Travis or Jared Verse would have been NFL draft picks. They decide to come back because they know how special this team can be in 2023. They put it together. You're talking about maybe getting some more commits in the boat if you can go push for an ACC title, go push for a college football playoff appearance. Once recruits start seeing that success and seeing where this program is going under Mike Norvell, you might even see another jump in the recruiting class that is already really strong for Florida State. Again, another massive commitment. Shout out to the Florida State fans for supporting the boys like you guys have. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.